Hello. Today we're going to do a little experiment, something I've nicknamed stray pots. Stray comes from the two words straw and hay. Now it's probably been done by somebody before, I don't know, I couldn't find it anywhere, but I had this idea that I'd like to share with you. So what is this great idea of stray pots? Normally, when we plant a pot, either with a plant or with seeds, we fill the bottom of the pot with terracotta or gravel or clay beads or something similar to allow for drainage, and then we fill up the pot with soil. An alternative is to do what I call a lasagna, which is where you put in something like straw or hay, and then on top of that you put something like grass cuttings, and then more straw, and then more grass cuttings, etc. So you're making a little compost underneath the last layer of soil that you put in the pot. That's great, but it's a little complicated, so I thought maybe we can simplify things a little. So hence the experiment. So what I'm going to do is fill this pot with straw. Well, certainly not completely all the pot, but I would say probably about between half and 2/3 with straw, like so. As you can see, nicely compacted. That will allow the water to drain, but will retain the soil in place, which is going on top. So put the soil on. Again, we fill it up to below the level of the top of the pot, so that when we water, the water will stay in the pot and not spill all over the garden. There we are, nicely pressed down, like so. And now I'm just going to plant a number of seeds, some nasturtium seeds. Maybe let's put 3 in, hoping that at least one of them will germinate. Maybe all 3 will germinate. And there, the job is done. So, what could be the possible advantages of doing this, doing our stray pot as opposed to a normal pot filled with soil? Let's take a look at the advantages, or the possible advantages, I should say. I can think of a number of advantages off the top of my head. Let's look at a few of them. Now, the first one is weight. If you fill up a pot like this fully with soil, it's going to be rather heavy, but of course if it's partially filled with something light like straw or hay, the pot will be a lot lighter. Now, this is not really a problem if we've got small pots like this, but if you've got big pots, for example on a terrace, which need to be moved from time to time, the weight of the pots is rather important. So the lighter the pots are, the easier they are to move. Another thing we can consider is cost. If you're paying for the soil to go in these pots, you will find that straw or hay is a lot cheaper. So filling your pots will be cheaper. Now it's not, again, a problem if you've got one or two small pots. But if you've got lots of pots, particularly big pots, you could make a considerable saving. Another thing to consider is this. Once the pot is made up like this, the straw at the bottom will start to decompose, and it will provide nutrition for whatever you've planted in the pot. So the plant will get nutrition from the soil, but also it will get additional nutrition from the breakdown of the straw. It won't provide all the nutrition needed for the plant, but it will certainly help. And the last thing I'd like to look at is this. When you water the plant in the pot, the straw or hay will actually retain a certain amount of the water. It allows drainage, but it also retains a little reservoir too. So this water can then be re-released back to the soil as the soil dries out. This means that you'll do, hopefully, less watering of your plants. Again, a little economy of effort, time and water. So now, let's take a look at some possible disadvantages. When you first make up a pot like this and you water it, there will be a certain amount of settling. That means that the level of the soil will sink slightly as all the air holes and so on are filled up. And then as time goes on, if we use our stray pots method, the straw or the hay at the bottom here will start to decompose and will start to shrink, which means that again the level of our soil may sink a little more. That's the first disadvantage. Another disadvantage is this. If you use hay, hay contains wild plant seeds. So what may happen is these seeds which are down here in the hay, they may well germinate and start to push up through the soil. So you may get some wild grasses in your pot. Again, not an enormous disadvantage, but something to be aware of. Other than that, I'm sure there are other disadvantages that I can't think of immediately, but I think we've done quite a good tour, certainly of the advantages and disadvantages of our stray pots. So, that's my little experiment with my stray pots. And that's a good thing about gardening. We can always experiment and try new things. Some things fail and some things succeed. But it's always good fun trying. One little note, if you're going to buy straw or hay, of course try to buy straw or hay that hasn't been in any way treated with chemicals or what I call industrial products, which may of course affect the health of your plants and possibly your own health too. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the experiment and you'll come back soon.